My biggest insecurity is my body. I think that right now what's trending is being thicker, looking a certain way, and I am naturally petite. So I was always being criticized by people saying like, do you eat enough? You're so thin, this and that. So I was really stressed out about it, so I started trying to eat more, and of course I always go to the gym, but I was eating so much to the point where I was making myself feel really bad. I looked amazing. I gained an extra 10 pounds, but I didn't feel good. So I was waking up full, going to sleep full, doing the same thing over and over and over just to achieve that goal of looking the way that everybody else wanted me to look. So one thing that I did to overcome that was learning to accept myself and acknowledging that this is just who I am. I'm a tiny person. I'm a grown woman that's tiny, and that's okay. So one piece of advice that I would give other people, both male and female, is just learn to accept yourself, because it's all right to be you.
My insecurity is the way I look, or my body, or things like that. I do not like the way I look because I feel people look way better than me. They're skinnier than me, they're smaller than me, they're taller than me. I have a lot of insecurity when it comes to the way I look. That is my insecurity. Thank you.
So something that I've been insecure about throughout my life is whether I'm good enough or whether I'm a good person. This is not something that I've overcome. It's something that I deal with every day. My advice to anyone that is dealing with this right now is to not think about whether or not they're a good person, but just to continue and try to do good things.
So I think one of my situations that I had to learn how to get over is how to control my anger issues. I had a lot of anger issues from the age of, I think, 15 all the way until it died down to the age that I am now, even though I still look 21, but I am over 50. So I think I had to learn how to hold my thoughts, hold back my tongue, and then come back to the situation. That's my greatest goal that I've learned, I think, now at this age. Whereas before I would just lash out, and when you say something or when you hit someone, you can't take that back. And the guilt overwhelms you. And then you have to consider what's making that other person that way. And am I really angry at that issue, or is it other stuff that's just stemmed up? So I think that's a life lesson. I mean, I've even gone away at a Christian camp, and I'm not a Christian, so just to help when I was a teenager. And I think that helped me a lot too, from being suspended and fighting from my youth to now. So anyone who has anger issues, you need to think about it, take a second, come back, and try to figure out what is your goal by arguing or getting upset. Okay.
Hi guys. So when I was growing up, one of my biggest insecurities was probably like my body type, being too chubby, not being thick enough, not having the right proportions that I wanted, probably all throughout high school, just growing up in general. And I think one of the ways I got over that was just learning to love myself and taking care of myself. And kind of as I grew up, the older I got, the more I did start to love my body and just myself in general. My biggest piece of advice for anyone that's dealing with that type of issue, especially if you're young and you're in high school, you have a lot of growing to do. Everything changes, and including your mindset about yourself. So you might change the way you feel about yourself. Your body's gonna change. You're gonna change the way you take care of yourself. And things just get better as you get older. You learn people, you learn which people really do love you, and those people are gonna kind of lift you up and support you. And the more you surround yourself with that kind of stuff and those kind of people, the better you're gonna feel about yourself.
I'd say one of the big insecurities I had when I was a kid was walking down the hallways by myself. I used to think people were judging me. In order to deal with that, I just played like a soundtrack in my head. Like I was a star of my own movie. And that silly little way helped me get over it.
What would you tell somebody else?
What would I tell somebody? I'd say to somebody today, just be yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. And own it. Be the star of your own movie.
So my biggest insecurity when I was in high school was the panic attacks that I would have. My anxiety would get so bad, I would have trouble breathing, I'd start shaking. And when they happened, people around me freaked out so bad, they wanted to call the ambulance. Sometimes I'd pass out. And it was hard to be around my friends or adults or anything because I feel like they were judging me, thinking something was wrong with me. And when I finally overcame it, I accepted that this was an anxiety mental disorder, and I learned how to manage it and how to deal with it. So if somebody is having these anxiety issues or somebody has a mental disorder, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I advise that you get your support group, the couple people. I even have teachers in the school that know about it, and so if I'm having issues, I go to them, and they're the ones who help me. Because it's not something you should deal with on your own, but accept it about yourself and find your support group. And people will love you anyway.
My biggest insecurity is my weight.
My biggest insecurity in high school was that because I was raised in a really religious family, that when I came out to them and told them I was gay, that they would stop loving me. And it was a really, really big fear that I dealt with for a long time. And the way I was able to overcome that was through creating relationships with friends, peers, I guess, and other adults so that I could feel supported enough that I felt safe when my family finally found out that I just felt safe in whatever reaction they had. And then over time we were able to grow through that, and we're happy now. So I'm really glad that I had that experience and I had people to support me through that.
So my biggest insecurity was when I decided to stop relaxing my hair and go natural. And I cut my hair myself. I went into the bathroom and literally just looked and cut my hair into this small tiny little afro. Immediately after I cut it, I started to cry, but I tried to convince myself I could do it. And even my mother was like, oh my God, you're gonna go outside looking like that? So I kind of felt a little insecure, like very insecure, it wasn't a little. How did I overcome it? I tried to wear weaves, I wore braids, like extensions, for a long while until the hair kind of grew out. And even when it wasn't like long, I started to see more and more people with small afros that had like just like me. So then I didn't feel so bad anymore. And then it's kind of funny because eventually even my mom ended up cutting off her relaxer and having a small afro and looking just like me. So I guess I would say to anybody who is thinking about doing anything different with their look, you're never gonna know unless you do it, and you just kind of gotta stick by your decision. And if anything goes wrong, there's wigs, weaves, anything to cover up with the mistake you made, and you'll figure it out. Try something new.
Oh, you're recording.
Yeah, I'm doing videos, not pictures.
I'm recording.